Let the games begin. Right guys, Capricorn King here with you. How are you guys? I'm bringing it in, bringing the knowledge, the esoteric knowledge, so it can induce more conducive state into your life. Hello, let's get to it. So this one is about fornication, masturbation. Just general sexual things. I'm here wearing my black top as usual because I'm Capricorn and it corresponds with the colour black. Receptivity, synthesization, and then deciphering what is and what's not from that to give me more impetus. Anyway, so this video, yeah, let's get to it. Is it embarrassing? It's only embarrassing to what you think you are subjectively. Averting away from the truths, and then it converts into becoming taboo. And we don't want that. Nothing's taboo, let's be open. So we can all just excrete all this energy, all this stagnant energy out from us. Just let's excrete it and get rid of it and face these things now, because confrontation is the first step into attenuation and then permeation. It permeates, and then you'll reach the higher prophetic lights, and you are dressed with a higher light from source energy, which is God, whatever you want to conceptualize it as while you're here. So yeah, we'll talk about this today. So masturbation, it's a big thing, it's a big one. And NoFap, doing this NoFap thing I've seen recently on YouTube. I ain't jumped on the bandwagon. I'm more about other things, not just solely emphasizing on one thing, because you can't just do that. You need to know thyself first, within, deeply within, which expresses itself as an imitation of the out. It's just an imitation of you. It's a very finite sensory perception of what you are. It's not the whole spectrum of what you are. That's just a feeling. So let's get into it. Masturbation. Why is it such a big hot topic, man? Masturbation. Even saying the word, people kind of like, they're quite dubious about it. Let's get into it. Let's cover this, because I have trouble too with it. The first point is how it can be inimical to you, how it can induce that, self-induce that, and it can occlude certain things within yourself, blockages, because it is root chakra based, doing this act, performing this act. And the root chakra is, again, I've said in the previous video, it's tribal based, subsegregation, objectification, basically the whole 3D spectrum of this illusion. It all correlates, corresponds to that. And you're not able, you're releasing it through that portal gateway, dissipation of your energy. And yes, there is other beings. I don't like to call them entities, because the connotation attached to that and the attribution is what an archetype which is being inflicted upon your mind of what you think entities are. You are an entity. You are a form of light. There's other forms of light etherically that we can't visibly conceive, that are, yes, feeding and extracting from us, and they come in various forms. Them forms are thought forms. They're thought patterns, proliferations of habitualizations, which are all thoughts, neurally habitualized. That's all they are. They come in thought forms, and then you act upon it And it's in that moment you got to decipher, what do I want, soul or ego? The ego is very rapacious, and it does subsume us, and it just entices us so heavily, because there's a system that inflicts that on us perpetually, and because it's so consistent, it's the illusion seems like it's not the illusion. It seems like it's the actual thing, but it isn't. So it's just go easy on yourself. Go easy on yourself. I have bouts where I do it incessantly for 3 days, and I'm spiritual. I am. I had this problem as a child. I felt like things were merging with my bio rhythm and energy, and just this dark tentacle kind of energy, and it just tantalizing me into this denser form of being. I had it as a child. I used to be laying in bed there thinking, what is going on? Before puberty, this was happening, when I couldn't actually produce any semen just yet. I was getting the urges. But that is a part of the package of what I feel like this individual focal point of attention of the whole cosmos, experiencing this part of itself, had to go through. And it's called Adam, which is me. Capricorn King here. It had to go through that to learn more from it, to then teach everyone else, each one teach one. Hence why I'm doing this video now, to help you guys liberate you from this pain, which I'd say 70% 6 now, because it is quite detrimental to your releasing your semen, but a lot of it is self-induced pain, because you can get over the physical symptoms and effects of doing it. You can gradually move through it, but you can completely exacerbate it tenfold if you induce guilt upon yourself. Guilt mongering, I hate that. Don't do it to yourselves, because love can lighten it. If you just love yourself, then you're more liable to actually transcending it and thinking, I don't actually want to do that anymore. It's not saving the soul. It's not sustenance for the soul. It's sustenance for the ego. And I mean ego with a big E. Do I? I don't know. There's a massive thing about that. But it's healthy to have an ego, yes, to some extent. If you're expressing from a place of letting go, and from a place of just being, and being the being of it, just to be of it, and then things originate from that place when you are talking or conversing with anybody or doing anything. If it comes from that place, that's your expression of your unique, authentic expression of God focalized in you. That's the ego, the healthy one. But there is another one, and it catches us off, and masturbation is a part of that unhealthy false ego of what we think we are, of who we think we are. So it's part of that. It all correlates to that. And sometimes when we're doing this act of itself, we know our souls don't want it, but it's like there's something else in us that's feeding off wanting this. Trust me, I've been there. I've been immersed and subsumed by it, completely encapsulated into this like domain that it takes you into. And it's very, very, very insatiable kind of feeling that takes over, where you want that and something craving it. It's really crazy, man. It really is. It's not healthy, no, it's not at all. But at least, like myself, I'm in a point of observation where I'm discerning, okay, this is not that good for me at all. So then it doesn't like proliferate and perpetuate into this more of a rapacious kind of appetite and letting whatever's emerging with my energy to feed off that, which corresponds to my ego. because they use the ego. There's an agenda that uses the ego, it exploits it. It's its full advantage to extraction for energy, which these beings do, and we can't see them. The forms of densities and lights like we are. It's like God's playing a game with him, is the whole array of it, to learn more of itself through each and every one of you and these other entities. They're not good or bad. What is, I said this to my friend, what is malevolence or benevolence? Without the other, you wouldn't know the other. They're one and the same, yin and yang. But you got to work with it. So the yin and yang's oscillating fast. Like this, look at that, see that? It's a terrible camera. So it looks like one vibration. When the yin and yangs are operating fast, it becomes one vibration, and you learn to work with the whole thing, so you don't stay stagnant into one. Like this. It's not slow and dense, so you're more likely to spiral, like, again I said in my other videos, like a conduit for this. And masturbation is just a big thing with the pornography as well. Wow. Doesn't that stuff really take you in? It's like when you're high on drugs and you're looking at this iridescent kind of geometric structure of a divine picture, and it's like, ooh, and it's like all within itself, and it's like you get really like consumed by that. No, really, pornography is like that, but it's negative. It's pulling. It's not giving. It's not giving you anything to create something and give something back. So you're not using the polarizations and the magnetism, which is polarized, in a conducive manner. You're not using it for that. It's taken from you completely. And the beings work through the computer. The internet was actually, its origin was called the Ethernet, the etheric planes where these beings reside, and they transmit through black screens. They call it scrying. Black screens don't reflect, they absorb. So things that are in the black screens can take your energy, man. They can do this. Yeah? You think I sound insane? Look this stuff up, this esoteric stuff. It's hidden. It's a cult. You've got to completely decrypt your whole reality and know what's going on, and really see what's happening and feel it. And masturbation is a big part of it. But this video all correlates to everything to do with that, and sexuality and pornography. Just take it. Just the main message in this is, when you perform the act itself, really analyze what's going on as it's happening, after, and days after that. Really feel it, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Don't just dismiss it and repress it, because it'll get compressed, and at some point it will have to be secreted, and you'll have to go through all that thing. Just go through it and work through it and see what's going on, and it's more transcend. You can transcend it more then. So it's not as invariable, which means not as transmutatable. Just keep going through and steadily working through this. And sometimes you have to go back into the thing that you're addicted to really extract something from it for yourself, for your future self. Because we're not operating on a lineage timeline scale. That's a part of the three-dimensional reality. And then many YouTubers have said this. We're not operating on a lineage. Your future self already knows what this current self is doing from the past self, what it's learning and extracting from, to be pervasive for the rest of humanity. And in this particular realm, it's like it's all predetermined or preordained, which is quite religious and secular. But religious acts just mean to put God first, which is a higher source, which is to prostrate your ego and capitulate who you think you are from the ego, which corresponds to the ego, to the higher self. So doing this and doing these acts and performing these spiritual acts enable you to transcend this, and it all through love and frequency vibration, all sound vibration. But when you hate yourself for doing this act and induce so much guilt, you cannot traverse it. Trust me, you can get over it. But then there is the other side of the coin where that's concerned, where you do feel a little bit guilty because your soul knows it's not right. That's okay. That's just a little thing. Don't amplify that, please. Just recognize that's just recognition that it's not right, which is giving you impetus, which means momentum into not wanting to do it or reducing it. So it doesn't have to be as an inimical on your whole system. So that's mainly the first thing about inducing guilt within oneself and going through what's feeding off us, why we do this, and what not to do when you do it. The second section, which I want to get into, is why has an inimical effect. Why does it have a detrimental effect on us when we do the act itself? But I'm only giving this because it's knowledge, in order for you to implement slowly, gradually, to avert away from this and deviate into the resensitizing yourself to the higher prophetic light energy, which is the higher dimensional realities, which you can be in. Right, let's get into that. Semen. What is semen? Sperm. Sperm is another implicit micro reality that implies this macro one. You are still that little wiggly thing, a sperm cell, experiencing itself, but in a different plane now. It's all within itself. So what is it? We are light, we're luminescent. The sperm is a luminescent. And the sperm, for men, if you retain it and preserve your essence and preserve your vitality and vivification of your whole cell, because we call them cells because we're in a cell condensed into matter on a cellular level, it enhances that tenfold if you bring it up. And you can bring it up the vertebrae and the spinal fluid brings it up to the back of the brain, because it charges itself through itself. If you look at the spine and the vertebrae, it looks like a sperm cell, but it's developed into this, a corporeal body in this three-dimensional reality, which is a reality within a reality, a macro one. It's just another layer of the whole thing that we're experiencing. Experience if it's external, and it's not. It's the whole thing. So it preserves itself through itself. So you bring the sperm up, back to the vertebrae, and it charges the dynamics of the brain. Charges it tenfold. The pineal gland, the crown chakra. You can get there anyway if you're still masturbating, yes, but this is just another great tool to not be a part of the objectified illusion, because the energy attached to that and associated with that is very dense and not transmutatable. So this is just another tool just to help you reduce that act. Don't feed the wrong beings, don't feed the wrong part of you. Which one do you want to feed? Ask yourself that. And if you go into the depths of masturbation, learn from it. Go in it, go all out till you feel like complete shit. Do it. See how you feel. I've been there. I've gone all out. And it goes down many avenues, because you keep desensitizing yourself to either what you're watching, exposing your brain to, the neurons in your brain, the receptors that conceive all the energy from the pornography. Keep getting desensitized to the higher lights. And just go there though, extract something from it. Again, as I keep reiterating, we're in a polarized realm. It's a split. one half of the whole is concomitant with the other, which infers it's hand in hand, means it's hand in hand. Sometimes you have to go to the bottom to re-oscillate better to the top and know more of the top from learning from the bottom. But which way is up? Don't feel guilty for this. Both sides are a learning curve. It's curvature. It's not straight up or down. There's sides to it that you might have to go back into to know more of what it's not through the contrast. Then it'll induce a dichotomy effect where you'll oscillate back to the top, knowing more from what the bottom, and not what to do or what not, or what this reality is not, because they have superimposed the false reality over what the actuality is and inverted it. And I don't know who they are. These beings influence us exogenously, because it's not from within us, but they come through us. So we're just reflecting a reality, a projection, which is going back in and reverberating back out as if that's what's going on, and it's just a big illusion. It's a big illusion. And the photonic light wavelengths, which illuminate vision, which is all sound vibration, by the way, that's being refracted, diffracted, manipulated, because it's what we are and it's coming through us, so it's happening to us to be without, and that's changing what we see. And again, that's another part of the video with the objectification of women. Women have been used to do this, so the configuration of the woman, the curvatures, is being exemplified very demonically and negatively, as if it's something to be exploited by men sexually, to use. It's actually using you too, because they're a part of you, and whatever you waste having sex with a woman with the motive intention of just sex without the infusion and symbiotic integration of love, it will bring you down too. It's using you as you use it. The whole thing is, it's using itself. It's becoming vampiric, parasitic, not symbiotic, which is love. And then if you're going to objectify a woman in that way, you can put that on yourself too. Look at pornography. Look at the categories in pornography. It is wild. It's gone out of hand. It's out of control. There's many categories. Many. It goes off not just on regular porn. And then there's the oh my god, there's layers to that. And then there's gay pornography. That's the other side. And there's the in-between stuff in that, like the transgender porn. These are men that have initially objectified a woman. Sorry, I've got a cold. Initially objectified a woman to be something sexual, and then self-imposed that on them too, because a woman is your polarized diametrical opposite of you to integrate with, to create one being. It's trinary system. So what they have done, so the transgender thing, they've done that to themselves. So what they saw, the finite aspect of what they saw of the woman, they've put on themselves, and they wanted to become a woman, for them to be sexually exploited and used like they see a woman as. It's complete devoid of love, the whole thing. But I've gone there, I've gone into all this, the pornography. I've watched a lot of crazy dark stuff, but I had to. In the midst of it all, my soul knew what was going on as an observed witness of the source energy. I wouldn't be giving you this information and this dense knowledge concerning it if I'd not gone through it empirically for me, to give you the knowledge, and for myself also. When you abstain from this kind of act, and I'll get into abstinence as well in this video, it's going to be a long video because it's a hot topic, but when you abstain from it for weeks, which I've done, I've just previously done a week and a half but I've started going to the gym again, which promotes testosterone, so I'm finding it even more difficult. I'm going through it myself, but it's okay. Working through it, keep doing the spiritual practices, but one day at a time, yeah? It's all now. If you abstain today is all the now, and then each day of the now can be, doesn't matter if it's 8 months in, a year in, 3 years, or even just a week or 2 days. It is just the now, and you've abstained from it, and you're in the now, and that's all. Just focus on this. The presence is omnipresent in all, and it is of everything. Doesn't matter how many days, weeks, months, doesn't matter. That's the ego. The ego will play that game. Oh, we've gone 2 weeks, and then you just get in your own way. You occlude the whole process and end up reverting back to the masturbation. I've been through it all. I've gone for months before. But the thing about the abstaining, third section of the video, abstinence from things. You're not able to abstain if you've not gone through the work within yourself, the processes of oscillating in and out, interweaving, extracting from the bottom to the top, or whichever way is the way around. Makes no difference. But I have gone all the way, and many people have. Spirituality is not all about, oh, la-di-da-da, hey, butterflies and rainbows and goddamn fairies. Gently patting the feet on a leaf in the woods with their iridescent sparkles of their wand. Spirituality is not just about that. That is the garment that's been superimposed over it, which is just a big play. How did I not swear through all that when I get zealous and passionate? But yeah, spirituality is not just about that. It's about going through the dark parts of it, because it's integrated with it. It's a part of this lesson here, while you are here. So you can't abstain if you've not gone through the work. And so I'll give you something scientific. The endocrine glands are responsible for bringing, when you abstain from it, it goes up the vertebrae, and everything's energy. So if you're still thinking of a woman as an objective thing, as something sexual, you'll bring the energy up through the endocrine glands to your brain, and it'll fry the brain out if you're not careful. Because Kundalini is within the sperm. It's luminescent light. It's very hot. Mind's very powerful, important. I know this is a little explicit, but when I have ejaculated inside a beautiful divine female, and we've gone through, but it's been symbiotic and through love, and it's felt right to do it. It's felt right to do that act. She has said she's felt like a very strong burning, but a good burning sensation inside of her, gone through her stomach and kind of integrated with her, and she said that it's made her lively, energetic, childlike, made her feel more loving, more vivified, illuminated. That's the power of what you are. You are that. That's what you are. You bring that up the vertebrae. You can do that, but if you've still got associations and rigid attributions, which is an energetic form emitting out and to be back within, you'll take that up with the energy of the sperm and it'll fry your brain out. Don't do it. Sometimes abstinence is not always good if you've not worked through it. Abstain for a few weeks to realise what's going off. But if you're still perceiving a woman in that way, or a woman as a man in that way, you'll take that energy up with you, and it'll be very difficult. So just be careful. Sometimes it's got to be on and off until you finally get it. On, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, and it pyramids, and then it's like, yep, I've got it. When you're ready, it will be. So abstinence is not always good for prolonged periods of time if you're not fully there consciously, and you're no longer objectifying things sexually. Animals don't do it. They say it's animalistic, but animals don't actually do this. We become worse than animals. Animals don't look at another female, I don't know what they think, but they don't obsess over it incessantly. Hours a day, every woman they see, it's just of itself, it's just one consciousness. But when it's time to mate, they know what is and what's not. They just know. there's a big thing on the gay homosexuality as well. It's been completely capitalised on, and that's been because I think male and female are polarised. They create energy. If you've made love and tantric sex, it's very important. Kundalini, strong energy that you're invoking, and you're spiralling up. So that's why initially they make you objectify a woman, something sexual, so you think you're exploiting her, and it's just a two-way thing, and you're not getting anywhere. You're going backwards, but you'll learn from that. Yes, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but they've also opened another avenue where if you're going to objectify a woman and do that to a woman, then why can't you do it to a man too? Everything applies in that realm. In that density, all applies. So men will go to other men for that. It's just a form of stimulus. It's egoic stimulus. It stimulates and preserves the egoic domain. So it all applies when it's concerning this kind of thing. But it's just gone out of control, and we're in the worst terminal part of it. I've been to parties. I'll give you one example, a story. I've been to a party before. We've all took MDMA. When me and my spiritual friends take drugs, they vivify tenfold our spiritual states of being within us and consciousness. And I have gone in realms before where I know I'm not physical. I'm not physical. I've gone in the source, the pool of the ocean of consciousness, and just been in that. Even on MDMA, just a quarter of a pill. That's how sensitive I am. And I felt the sublime beauty of just the collective love that binds us, and the magnetism that's interfusing with itself of all of our hearts. I have felt that when I've been on drugs. And there was a homosexual guy at a party, and he was obviously objectifying me and my friend because we're young lads. I'm 25 now, just turned January. My friend's 23, I think he's 24 soon. Similar age, both young, good looking, fresh looking, and he liked both of us, but he didn't reveal it explicitly until he had the drug. And I feel like I came to this realm as a Nordic point of light because it needed attention, because I had some prophetic knowledge within me as I was born. It was just in me, of me. And when I'm at parties and I take drugs, I can sense the people that need the most light and guidance, and it'll be like an attractor towards that person. It'll just go, there'll be people at a party, this is me. It'll just go, phew, that person needs this. So I didn't give girls attention because I didn't feel like they needed it. And most of them misinterpret it. That's how bad it's got. I can't approach a girl and give her a hug and say, I love you unconditionally. I love you unconditionally. And start petting the face. Because they misinterpret it as if I'm coming on to them. That's how bad it's gotten. They put a force field, like a fortified thing. They have to feel 100% secure before they let you in there. I mean, guys just do it like, hey, just like the lads hug each other and things like that, because we're comfortable with each other and we're all friends and whatever, and we know we're not coming on to each other. So lads let you hug them more, and especially on ecstasy, just integrate. But I don't know who was on it and who was not. I don't even know if the homosexual beautiful being, because he had powerful energy, I sensed it emanating off him. I don't know if he was on it or not, but his pupils were like really dilated. So that's a signification that he was. And I felt like he was a point of light that needed some attention. So I gave it him. And I was trying to, with great profundity, tell him what love was. And I was looking deep in his eyes and went, do you not feel it emitting off me? And it was sad. He didn't feel that. It's like there was that many internal blockages. He didn't feel the unconditional love light emitting off me to reverberate something within him, to show him what he actually is. Because he's got this ideological rigid framework in his mind that he's a homosexual, and any guy that approaches him has the same intention. And he perceived me, interpreted it completely as if I was coming on to him. And it was sad. It was very sad. I got annoyed, but not towards him, just like, because he wasn't getting it. He wasn't getting it. And the girls do the same. The girls do the same. And it's very frustrating. It really is. So that's one of the things that pornography's done. This transgender movement, and how it splits off into many dynamics because of we don't know what love is anymore. We've forgotten the path. Some guys say they're born homosexual. Okay, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. There's no right or wrong here. I'm just saying there is an agenda behind this that splits these polarities off from themselves, because they know the divinity and the potency of what can be created and how prolific that can be to everyone's life in a relationship. They know that. They're aware of it, so they try and manipulate it. That's all I'm stating. I've made love to, I'm not going to mention her name, beautiful divine being, but she was lost. She had addictions like we all do. I'm not judging that at all, because she will catapult forward and it'll give a great impetus into a much more auspicious life for her eventually. But when I made love, sometimes she was desensitized to that higher form of light and love. She wanted stimulus. She was too used to stimulus and performing the sexual acts in a very objectified, kind of insatiable way, where it's more rough, hair pulling, this, that, and other. Oh man, I don't want to get into it. I don't like doing that. I don't feel comfortable doing that myself. Saying things vocally, linguistically, which then emits a frequency which preserves that density. I don't like doing that. I want to integrate with love. I want to infuse with a female with pure love and work through it like it's artwork, and it's symbiotic, and it's doing this like the yin and yang, and it's swaying. And it's swaying like this, like water, like calm water. And it's feeding itself. It's nourishing and vivifying itself. Not contrived and not authentic to your heart. I don't do that. I don't sway that way. And that was very sad too. That was a hit to the heart. But I didn't let it affect me in that way. Anyway, this video has been long enough. Pornography, sexuality and masturbation. 3 topics people deny, repress, and it becomes taboo. We need to open up on this, because we are sexual energy. The carbon structure we are condensed into is 666. Neutron, proton, electron, whichever way you want to say it, constitutes of the whole thing of what we are, an expression of God. We are sexual energy. Sex just means male or female. Sex, it is sex, and they've used it against us. I'm all out, Capricorn King. It's all about love, guys. Remember,